Hello, and welcome to Fabric Executive Talks. My name is Carlos Erquino. I'm going to be your moderator today, and we're going to talk about why unstructured data is the bottleneck for enterprise AI. Today, we have two amazing leaders, Dipti Borkar, Vice President of Microsoft OneLake and ISVs, and Adam Kamor, the Chief Technology Officer for Tonic AI. So let's just jump into it. Everyone talks about data being the fuel for AI. So why does unstructured data becomes the big one of these blockers for this AI transformation?
Yeah, first thing, thanks for having us here. Exciting to discuss this important topic. For years and years, we focused so much on structured data, right? There's been a lot of investment on the structured data side, tables, rows, columns. There's databases, data warehouses, and so on. Unstructured data, in some ways, has been sort of left a little bit unmined, untouched. But there's this thing you might have heard of called artificial intelligence.
Yes.
AI, which is kind of transforming the space, which number one makes it a lot easier, right? Just to harness this information, make more sense of it. And so suddenly, there's organizations that are realizing that they can just do a lot more with the unstructured data. It could be, call centers, right? Support transcripts or actual voice calls or, images and simple things like meetings. You have facilitators in the Teams meeting now, keeping track of things. And so there's just a lot more tools available today to do more with that unstructured data. And with that data, you can, once you make sense of it, make better decisions, make better experiences, drive more value down to your customers.
Yeah, I think I agreed with everything, and also thanks for having us. I think it's primarily the blocker now because it's the thing that's most in demand. For large language models to continue to improve at the rate that everyone wants them to improve, it becomes a combination of more parameters, which becomes diminishing returns over time, but also more data. Most large language models are incredibly data hungry, and most of the publicly available data has already been kind of pulled from the internet and read and ingested by these models. So the final frontier in data essentially is all of the data sitting behind your corporate firewalls. So you need to figure out how you can make that accessible to large language models so they can do a better job serving kind of your specific use cases that are, whatever your enterprise is trying to do. Now, of course, the question, and we'll talk about it later, is how do we make that done in a safe way?
In structured data, very structured. Why is it harder to operationalize unstructured data, right? Because it's different than rows and columns.
Yeah. Unstructured data is a mess. That's why unstructured data, it's really, really hard to work with. Imagine, you mentioned earlier, a phone transcript. Phone transcripts are terrible to read. It's even maybe I'm trying to schedule an appointment at a doctor's office. That could be a 2-minute back and forth, and just all of everything said in that conversation there's the ums and the ahs, and just the way that you express a date is not like an ISO formatted date string. It's a long, complex utterance of when I can go to the doctor's office. And it's very hard to kind of parse that stuff and extract the information that you need. Nothing is just kind of written down well and cleanly for you. It's all kind of just garbled and a mess. And until recently, kind of parsing that information was incredibly challenging. Large language models have made it easier. Before that, there was BERT models that you could use, and they're very good. But large language models just kind of make it easier.
Yeah, and it was only search, really, right? For the longest time, it was only search terms, right? Keywords. You could do keyword-based search. But now with vector indexes, with embeddings, you can do have richer context on top of that unstructured data. We're investing a lot as well. You can actually, transform this, derive structured data from the unstructured data so that you can combine it with the rest of your structured information, your business information, and do something more, right? Enrich your structured data as well with this information from the unstructured.
Yeah, that right there is I think the absolute crucial piece, because you have a lot of each. If you can link it together, if you can kind of identify what of the unstructured parts of the data are referencing what parts of the structured, that's a very powerful tool that you have all of a sudden. It's very challenging though still.
And tell us a little bit more about how Tonic AI and Microsoft are making this unstructured data more accessible, but also considering security, privacy, and governance.
Absolutely. So we're investing a lot, right, in this space. Obviously, we have Microsoft Foundry, which has AI search, which does all of the vector-based search as well as the keyword-based search. So it's hybrid. Fabric, we're adding a lot more support. Microsoft OneLake, we initially focused a lot more on structured data with column formats and open table formats. We now support SharePoint shortcuts, for example, and so all that rich data in SharePoint in your your Word docs and slides and so on, Excel even in some ways, right? Even though it's rows and columns, can now be converted into either structured data, which is sitting and combined with your business data, as it's being even linked into OneLake, or you can you can even do more with it. So run analysis on it with notebooks and actually write Spark code, etc., or apply AI models, algorithms, sentiment analysis, text analysis, etc. But given it's an open platform and Fabric is an open ecosystem, we've invited our partners to build onto it. And in fact, Tonic has a great announcement here at FabCon, and we've partnered to have a new workload within Fabric itself to manage unstructured data better. So maybe you could talk a little bit about it.
Absolutely, thank you. So Tonic AI makes safe data. So essentially what we do is we help sanitize very sensitive data sets so that you can use them for testing, development, and primarily for model training. So imagine you have a bunch of medical discharge notes or financial service records. We identify all of the PII or PHI in this data. We then synthesize it to remove anything identifiable to an individual or to your customers. And then you can safely use that data to go train your model or ingest it into AI workflows. So that's what we do. We've been doing this for the past 8 years, but several days ago, we just announced in GA our latest integration for the Fabric marketplace. So now customers using Fabric can install the Tonic Textual workload and then begin running it in their Fabric workloads today. It can essentially read unstructured data, PDFs, Word documents, text, JSON, what have you, directly from OneLake, process it, as I just said, and then drop it back into OneLake. So now you have your real OneLake bucket here with the real data. Then you have your synthetic or de-identified data in this other OneLake bucket or location. And then you can use it in all of your workflows.
Awesome! Congratulations on the launch.
It was, honestly, it was a great integration to build. It was the documentation was great. It worked well. It was wonderful working with the team.
This was not a pre-planned, no?
No, it is that was genuine. I meant it.
And as a last question, and maybe as a recommendation to many leaders that are, trying to get into this journey of AI, what would be the next step, or what would you recommend the data leaders and practitioners to do today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really important to think through your architecture and your strategy to get the most consistent, correct, reliable answers of your AI and your agents. And for that, it's a little bit of hard work that happens on the data tier, because first you truly have to unify. The unification doesn't stop at just your structured data. The unification includes your databases, your data warehouses, your lake houses, of course, whatever cloud it might be on, you can connect it into OneLake. But it includes your unstructured data increasingly now. And so look at that and figure out what your strategy is. How do you bring it in? It could be SharePoint shortcuts that you use. It could be, just moving actual physical data into OneLake, and then analyze it and add more context to it. The data plus context is what you will need to make your agents give you better answers. And for that, you will need, of course, you can use semantic models or ontologies or AI transforms or partner workloads like Tonic that remove the PII data, mask it, make it more secure. Because unstructured data, that's the challenge as we were talking about. Make sure that you cover your risks, your compliance, and then move forward towards a fully autonomous agentic world.
I agreed with everything. I think just to keep it short, it all starts with the data. You need to have it in the right place. It needs to be in the right format. It needs to be properly sanitized for privacy.
So this is great, and thank you very much. This has been an amazing conversation. Unstructured data, it's really hard. There's a lot of healthcare, FSI, phone calls, transcripts. So it's all about unification and making it secure and safe. So thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dipti.
Thanks,
And
Carlos.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What a conversation. Everything you've been watching here was captured live at FabCon and SequelCon in Atlanta from the interviews to the demos to the community insights that make these events so special. If you're into Microsoft Fabric, SQL, and the future of data, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And speaking of next, we're taking this show to Barcelona. FabCon and SQLCon Barcelona are happening this September 2026, and it's going to be packed with big announcements, deep technical sessions, and one amazing global data community. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to register and use code FABTV to save €200 off your ticket. As always, thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next one.